The Myanmar regime seizes the bank accounts of George Soros' Open Society Foundation. In this video, we're going to take a look at the civil unrest going on in the nation of Myanmar. We're going to see why the government has decided to seize Soros' assets and why it is that Myanmar is but the latest of a number of nations that permanently banned George Soros from their borders. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you. As always, we're here to give you each and every single day conservative hope in the midst of these turbulent and trying times, helping you to think better so you can feel better and provide you a patriot path to freedom. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's Prepper's Peak new solar water heater. Now, with all of the lockdowns that we've been witnessing over the last several months, this solar water heater really can turn out to be our very best friend. The solar water heater is an amazing device and allows you to heat and boil water outdoors, you guessed it, simply using sunlight. It can heat water in as little as 30 minutes and work anywhere the sun shines. You could use it to boil water, to cook noodles and rice. You could use it to sterilize water for drinking. Great for you campers. And the best part is that if you click on that link below, you actually get an additional 20% off their already reduced price. So do not wait. This is a limited time offer. Click on that link below before they sell out and get your own Patriot Sun cooker today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Now, I don't know how many of you have been keeping up with what's been going on in the nation of Myanmar. It's also known as Burma. It's a Southeast Asian nation. It borders India, Bangladesh, China, Laos, and Thailand. It's a fairly large nation with a population of about 54 million. Back in February of this year, the military in Myanmar launched a successful coup and took over the government, declaring a year-long state of emergency after Aung San Suu Kyi, who was the incumbent leader, won re-election with her National League for Democracy party. Now, Suu Kyi first came to power back in 2015 when she won the first openly contested election in 25 years. As I understand it, under the Burmese constitution, she wasn't allowed to be president because she was in a mixed marriage with a foreign son, something akin to that. But regardless, she had a special position created for her, the Minister for the President's Office, which was akin to a prime minister, which eventually turned into the position of state counselor. So, not to get lost in the weeds here, but the Burmese military backed the opposition to the NLD, the National League for Democracy. The opposition claimed that there was widespread voter fraud, and in response, the military launched a successful coup. And since then, Suu Kyi has been under arrest in a location unknown, and the nation as a whole is going through massive social unrest. It's been utterly chaotic. Thousands of citizens have been taken to the streets. The military has been cracking down on the demonstrations big time. Dozens have been killed. It's pretty rough stuff for sure. However, in the midst of all this, something fascinating has happened with regard to George Soros. It's being reported that the military regime has seized control of the bank accounts of billionaire George Soros' Open Society Foundation Myanmar and announced that it will take legal action against the foundation, which is accused of violating restrictions on the activities of such organizations. Now, this was just announced the other day. It was on Monday. Military-controlled television announced that the military had issued arrest warrants for 11 staff members of Open Society Foundation Myanmar, including its head and deputy head, on suspicion of giving financial support to the civil disobedience movement against the military government. The regime also claimed that Soros had failed to obtain approval from the Central Bank of Myanmar and was therefore operating illegally within the country. So the military is taking control of Soros's Myanmar assets totaling several $1 million, with spokesmen saying the foundation had breached the law that lays down the rules and regulations for organizations in the country. Now, military-aligned groups have long seen Soros as manipulating Myanmar's politics by supporting leftist liberal factions in the nation. Open Society Foundation has been in Myanmar ever since the nation originally transitioned from military rule to civilian rule several years back, and Suu Kyi was the de facto president or prime minister prior to the coup. She was pretty chummy with Soros, as it appears. So I found this fascinating because it's but the latest example of Soros getting banned from more and more countries. Well, so many on the left are decrying the increasing number of governments that are either formally or informally banning Soros. Nevertheless, Soros's international unpopularity seems to be increasing by the day, and he has admitted this. In an interview with National Public Radio, Soros admitted that his open society program of unfettered globalization and the wokeification of the planet is currently under tremendous threat. He noted when he first got involved in politics 40 years ago, what he called the open society was winning everywhere. What he called closed societies were opening up, and a great glorious globalist world was rising. And now Soros's open societies are on the defensive or outright collapsing virtually everywhere. He is admitting this. Now, no one has been more of a menace to George Soros's vision of unfettered globalism than the one and only Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary. Back in December 2018, Soros's Open Society Foundations announced that it had become impossible to work in what they called the repressive atmosphere of Hungary, and that they were indeed picking up and moving their operations to Berlin. Now, this was in response to the massive landslide win of Viktor Orban in the parliamentary elections, his third win in a row, and he campaigned on what's commonly referred to as the Stop Soros Law, which penalizes all NGOs that seek to undermine Hungary's border security by assisting immigrants and refugees in crossing the border and getting into Hungary. And the penalty, which involved, massive fines and taxes, it just made it impossible for the Open Society Foundation to continue their operations in Hungary. Moreover, Viktor Orban also oversaw the expulsion of Soros' Central European University from Budapest. The Hungarian government refused to grant accreditation to the university, which forced them to close their doors and leave Hungary altogether. And then, right around that time, in August of 2018, the nation of Poland deported a top Soros organizer, and they were able to have her effectively banned from entering into the EU. I believe that the charge was an abuse of what's called the Schengen Information System, and she was considered a threat to national security and public order by public officials. Now, in addition to Hungary and Poland, Macedonia has been actively attempting to rid their nation of Soros. The center-right or nationalist right party has made it a priority to, in their words, de-Soros-size Macedonia. A new movement named SOS, or Stop Operation Soros movement, has been mobilized to first and foremost expose various NGOs financed by Soros, and then eventually to banish such organizations from their nation. And of course, it was widely reported that a couple of years back, Soros and the Open Society Foundations were officially banned from Russia. Russia passed a law that no longer permitted Soros to fund organizations operating within its borders. It's interesting because Soros's Open Society Foundations were considered a threat to the foundations, not only Russia's constitutional system and the security of the state, but also what the Putin government has called Russia's spiritual security. It's very fascinating. Spiritual security is a government policy designed as a primary measure by which traditional Russian values, embodied particularly in the Russian Orthodox Church, can be protected and perpetuated in the midst of globalized assaults, like exactly what we're seeing from Soros and the Open Society Foundation. So George Soros's active attempts at liberalizing societies, destroying the centrality of their religions, their culture, their traditional foundations, their borders, they were considered threats to the national security of Russia, and he and his organizations were effectively banned. All right, so that's Europe. But in many ways, I have to say what's going on in Europe is nothing in comparison to Asia Minor and the Middle East. But first, I do have a free gift for you. Make sure to click on that link below and download your very own alt-tech directory guide, which we're calling the New Conservative Survival Guide to Big Tech Censorship. It is absolutely free for you as an ebook download. Now, this is a guide that's going to give you all of the alternative social media sites that have been rising up all over the place. You can go to them for all your favorite independent content creators, but of course without any of the censorship that we've been exposed to by big tech. And it's also giving you insights on what scholars are calling, this is my favorite part, an emerging post-Google age. It's absolutely free as an ebook download, and it's yours simply by clicking on that link below. So do not let big tech censors get in the way of your favorite content creators. Click on the link below and enjoy your survival guide to big tech censorship today. All right, so not only is Soros getting kicked out of Europe, he's also getting kicked out of Turkey. And this is because the Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, made Soros and the Open Society Foundation a target in his effort to unite the nation around his vision of traditionalist conservatism, Islamic conservatism, of course. Erdogan accused Soros of stoking up division and protest in Turkey, particularly in what he called the Gezi Park protests back in 2013. It sparked some of the biggest political challenges to Erdogan's 15-year rule. And the question, of course, was who on earth was financing these mass demonstrations? And you obviously don't have to look too far to find Soros's fingerprints behind it. So Erdogan banished Soros permanently from Turkey. And around the same time, the nation of Pakistan ordered George Soros's foundation to close their doors and leave their nation as well, with very little explanation. And then circling back, shall we say, to Southeast Asia and to the Philippines, the Nationalist Populist President Rodrigo Duterte has publicly warned Soros that if he steps foot in the nation of the Philippines, there's going to be a bounty on his head. And Singapore has been likened to Viktor Orban's Hungary in terms of its policies towards George Soros. Singapore recently blocked a company from registering with the country precisely because the company was guilty of accepting funds from the Open Society Foundations. The company was linked to a local independent news organization, which raised the ire of Singaporean officials who stated very simply, local politics are for Singaporeans alone to determine, not foreign entities like the Open Society Foundations. And so it does appear that Soros really is quite right. His dream of a radically globalist world of open borders and unfettered wokeism appears to be collapsing, one nation at a time. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the link below and check out some more cool, awesome merch. And you definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how workers around the world are rebelling against Amazon and its big tech oligarchs. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.